All right, I'm gonna try to do this video again. Can I explain everything I need to explain to you in 7 minutes? We're gonna find out right now. So this is about post-economic theory and our looming societal economic system collapse that we're all sort of blind to, and that economic leaders are not telling us about. But there's a lot of people making money right now from creating Claude agents that are doing financial research. There's people in NFT space. There's people making money in crypto. Like a lot of people are making money right now, and but it makes sense because we live in a self-interested, scarcity-ridden marketplace. I'm not even going to talk about the first part right here. It doesn't really matter. What I want to talk about is the resistance business. So, as a part of what I'm trying to do with EndWork.ai, community gardens, EndSuffering, like all these things I'm trying to do, all these good works, AI domains and initiatives, is I'm mainly trying to find people to help me out. But what I'm realizing is that this is the case, people's livelihoods have been in the resistance business. I mean, we see this in some recent movements that collected a lot of money and they spent a lot of that money on traveling. And, these people have been employed. If you work in a resistance movement and it's been your job, then you have an inherent incentive for your business to not change. Now, if you've been in the philanthropic space, if you've been in the good work space, if you've been trying to do things that are good, then now I think your opportunity with artificial intelligence is you're about to start doing more good. But there's going to be people who are going to look at AI consolidating and collapsing a lot of different marketplaces as it taking away their value. I mean, nonprofits are going to be affected by this just as well as profitable businesses. So the resistance business so far has been in the business of causing a lot of noise, but not in the business of mobilization. And I mean that in the sense of, this is one of those, like they say, if space aliens invaded tomorrow, then the world would come together and we would have a common cause. This is that common cause that we're all very silent about, because we're gonna pass the threshold of having people that are, capitalists becoming socialists, people that are socialist lessening on some of their ideology or their identity socialism. I hope at least, but what I say is it's just like war efforts. Like we have a really good war fighting military. We don't have a nation building military. Nation building is not what military fighting men and women are made for. Those businesses that historically have been good at influencing political markets, that have caused, think tanks, social movements, publishers, etc., that have been in the resistance, which we should honor, that have been in this industry for decades. Now you're needed most. Now you're needed like tomorrow. We need every food abundant degrowth. We need every labor market economist. We need everyone to come together and start planning for what is coming. The problem is that the state has a monopoly on mobilization. So you could imagine it at the end of the recent pandemic we had, that it was the state that ultimately mobilized the transformation, and they used force because that's what state does. This state has access to power, and they were able to threaten your job, your livelihood, make you leave your military, separate you from your loved ones, institute policies, etc. That's the state. That's power forces using power dynamics to co-opt and force. Are we going to see the state mobilize the end of labor? Are we going to see the state mobilize the end of what their tax revenue is elicited from? How Social Security survives this, I don't know. Because if you don't have people working, then you don't have people paying into Social Security. And they don't have an answer. Maybe there's an answer out there. If you'll read the other videos, watch the other videos, you'll see that there is at least some answers out there. So we'll see. The hard part is explaining this to you. I suck at explaining this. I am performative, poetic, philosophical. This is not fun to talk about. I'd rather spend my time reading this stuff than talking about it. So I need help. If you are really good at talking about this stuff and you are mission aligned to the other artificial intelligences that we're working on, if you could be mission aligned, then here's my plug again. If you feel like you could be mission aligned, you're not going to co-opt these for wrong. Now, here's where it gets really overwhelming, is when, so lately I've gotten into the habit of picking up books from the last turn of the century, the Industrial Revolution, reading a lot of people that comment on, interesting movements like the social gospel, American socialism, the counter positions for competitiveness. A lot of the stuff that we're going through right now just feels so eerie. If you pick up a book from 1890s, 1920s, 1910s, with this big transformation, like a lot of good economic writing on all sides of the spectrum were written in that time because it was so raw to them. The novelty of having one machine with one person's hand alleviate the need of the same output of 1,000 people. So what is so, I hate to say, disheartening is knowing what to do when we've been writing about this for over 100 years. And I hate to say it, but look at 1929. Look at the 1930s and the 1940s. What did we do 100 years ago is we had wars. We had the forgotten men. We had bread lines. We had, I don't want to make you, I don't want to terrify you, but we've known about some of this stuff for literally 100 years. And we don't have an answer for it other than power systems. And we've made you all really good consumers. So I have a new idea for a new AI called EndSuffering.ai. And if you're going to make us take UBI, Mr. Government, then I feel like in the UBI app, to claim our UBI credits, we have to acknowledge suffering nearby. There should be some sort of AI system that tells us how many people are starving, how many children were abducted, how many women were beaten or sexually abused, how many children became orphaned, how many people died of fentanyl. I feel like if we're going to click a button that says grab UBI credits, we have to acknowledge the suffering of those nearby.